Welcome back to Cooking with Coach. I'm excited to have you guys back. As always, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that like button. Please follow us on any of our social media platforms. Today, I want to do some jambalaya for you, and I'm going to healthy it up a little bit. But one of those myths that I want to dispel is that meal prep food or eating healthy is tasteless food. That's not the truth at all. We're going to show you that today. So please stick around. I hope you have a little bit of fun, learn a little bit of something new. Give this recipe a shot. I hope you guys like this recipe. If you do, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, give us a shout out on the social media pages and let us know. How did you modify it? How did it work for you? We love seeing those things. I love seeing those things. I want to make sure that everybody's having a little bit of fun and they're also getting some enjoyment out of their food process here. So, without further ado, let's get this recipe started. All right, so for our recipe today, some of those things that we're going to need. Obviously, some tools that we talked about. I'm going to need a knife, going to need a cutting board. One of the things that is going to make this a little bit easier process, using that Ninja blender to chop up our food. Now, if you're good enough with a knife that you want to sit down and go ahead and dice up all your onions and peppers and stuff like that, by all means, rock and roll. This isn't something that you have to have. It works great for me. That's what I'm going to use. Speeds up the process a little bit. I'm all about that. Behind me in the microwave, I've got 3.5 pounds of chicken that I'm defrosting. We're also going to use 1.5 pounds of andouille sausage. Now, I typically like to go with something with a little bit lower fat content, a little bit higher protein content. That's why I go with this particular brand of sausage. Worcestershire sauce. Instead of using stewed tomatoes, I like to use the Rotel. A little bit different for me. A little bit of Creole seasoning. Bay leaf, we're going to need. Bell peppers, we're going to use 3 of them. Onion. Zucchini. Garlic. Can't go wrong with garlic, guys. Love it. It's great for your heart. Plus, I like the way it tastes. So, there we go. So, first things first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and chop up or rough chop up my vegetables a little bit so I can throw them in here, get them ready to go. Then, when we throw them into our jambalaya, they're evenly diced, and that's why I like using the Ninja. I am not skilled enough in the kitchen. I do not look like a lot of those guys on the cooking shows where I can sit here and chop this stuff up and knock it all out and it looks all neat and fancy. If I try to do that stuff, I'm going to end up losing a finger or a thumb, and that's really going to ruin the dish if that happens. So I've got the rough cut done on my vegetables. What I'm going to do is throw a bit of olive oil in the pan, get that going, get that heated up, because I'm going to throw my vegetables in there and start that saute process as soon as I get them into that fine chop. All right, so the vegetables are all finely chopped and I've got them in the pot. My chicken just got done defrosting and I've got my sausage right here that I'm getting ready to chop up. What I'm going to do with this video is also put together a price for you. So you can see exactly how much it costs to make this meal and then also how much it's going to cost you per serving. The reason I want to do that is I want to show you, as we talked about in previous videos, that meal prepping saves you money. You're going to get a much more nutritious, a much more flavorful meal prepping this at home and taking it with you while saving money. If that doesn't appeal to you, I don't know what to tell you.
Come on.
we're just going to add in the rest of our ingredients. So we've got the bay leaf in there. I'm going to add a little bit of, I'm a Tony Chachere's fan, so I'm going to add a little bit of that in there. Spice that up just a little bit more. Really, this is going to come down to seasoning to your taste. How much do you want to put in there, okay? I'm going to do a cup of rice. A cup of uncooked rice to add in there. I'm trying to watch my carbs a little bit, so I'm keeping mine down. Although the one thing, I keep mentioning that as far as carbohydrates are concerned, guys, don't be afraid of carbohydrates. First, you need to understand how your body works. I've discussed it before. I know how mine does, so that's why I keep mine limited. But for me, that's working out well. So, don't be afraid of carbs. You need carbs to grow. There is a time, there is a place to go ahead and cut carbs. If you're not planning on doing a show, if you're not planning on stepping on stage, don't be afraid of carbohydrates. You need them. We're going to add some chicken broth. I go with a low sodium chicken broth. I want to keep that down, even though I just dumped in about half a bottle of Tony Chachere's. I like my sodium to come from there, so I save it in other places. Not only am I doing low sodium chicken broth, I'm also doing low sodium Worcestershire sauce. Two cans of Rotel. I mentioned before, I like using Rotel as opposed to just stewed tomatoes. I like the little bit of flavor that adds. I like the chilies being in there, adding a little bit more flavor and just a tiny bit of heat. So add those in. I mentioned the Worcestershire sauce. We're going to add a little bit of that. All right, so we've got all our ingredients added. We've got it stirred in there. We've got it mixed up. We're going to let that cook for about 50 minutes to an hour. I want to make sure that chicken gets all the way cooked. And then what we want to do is just make sure those flavors blend together really, really well. Now, before somebody asks, because I know it's going to happen, it's going to be asked, why isn't there shrimp in there? You can add shrimp, guys. Here's my thing. I don't like reheated seafood. I don't like the taste of it. It's just something, it gets rubbery to me. So that's why I don't add shrimp to my jambalaya from a meal prep standpoint. Now, if I was going to eat all of that today, absolutely. Add some shrimp to it. Shrimp is great because it's not a high-calorie food. You get a little bit of protein out of it. So from that standpoint, it's fine. I just don't like reheated seafood. Bottom line, that's why I don't add it. If you want to, go right on ahead. If you have a shellfish allergy, there are other fishes. Now, I would do something that's a little meatier and doesn't flake out so well. But, yeah, add seafood to that. There's no problem with that at all. Just not something I'm going to do from a meal prep standpoint.